Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for AEW Spark in 3, 2, 1. All Elite Wrestling discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the relaunch of AEW Spark for January 12th, 2022. And you guys are probably all wondering, what is AEW Spark doing on another YouTube channel hosted by another person? Well, I'll explain. So last week, I was doing the Wrestling Rundown ATW View crossover with Noah Foster and everybody else. You can probably just watch that video. It's on the channel. I'll link it down in the description box below. And after the show was over and while Hell in a Cell was on, I asked Noah Foster if he still did AEW Spoke because I had never been on an episode and Noah and I hadn't done a video together in a while. So I was gonna try to get on an episode, but then I found out that he didn't have time to really do that show anymore in his schedule. So he pretty much just told me that I could pretty much do Spoke on this channel. He gave me Spoke pretty much. And if you guys don't believe me, I will send you guys the screenshots of the messages where he gave me permission. But he said I could do AEW Spark however I wanted to, so that's exactly what happened. So yeah, every week I'm going to try to sit down and do AEW Spark, where I talk about everything all Elite Wrestling related. And I'm actually pretty excited to do this because I love AEW and I try to watch it every week for the most part. I can't watch it live, but I watch AEW every week and I've seen about every episode. So I figured, why not do it? And I'm going to try to bring justice to the show because Noah always tried to watch every episode and did all the research on everybody. I don't know if I can go on that level because I don't have as much time to watch as much indie stuff as Noah did at that time, but I'm going to do AEW Spark every week. I'm going to review all the shows that take place, and I'm going to give predictions to the next episode of AEW Dynamite, Rampage, pay-per-views, whatever. So let's get right into it. So let's start with AEW Elevation, since that's usually the first show that takes place, anything AEW related. It was actually a fairly short episode this time. Usually there's about 8 matches and it's an hour. This time it was only like a half hour, I think, and there was 4 matches. So really not a lot went on in AEW Elevation. Obviously, as everybody knows, AEW Elevation is taped with Dynamite and Rampage. It's basically the dog matches that you see before Dynamite and Rampage. I've gotten to see a couple episodes of it when I went to AEW in the fall and then earlier this year. I saw Layla Hurst get injured, which nobody else saw, which, I mean, as much as it sucks, it's kind of cool that that happened in a sense. But that's a different conversation. So let's talk about AEW Elevation, episode 66. The commentary team was Tony Schiavone, Paul White, and Mark Henry. I'm going to be talking about some things that I've never really talked about before since I've haven't done much videos talking about AEW. I do enjoy this commentary team. I like Schiavone with Paul White because they have good chemistry together since they've worked together in WCW and things like that. I like Mark Henry in the group. I know Mark Henry isn't the greatest commentator, but I think having him with Paul White helps because they're like best friends in real life, so they have that instant chemistry with each other. And, you know, sometimes it's just them shooting the breeze and stuff like that. So, yeah, I enjoyed this commentary team. Sometimes it could be a bit tough, like if there's a match on and, you know, they're kind of just, they don't really know much of the moves and stuff like that, but it is what it is. So let's talk about it. The first match on the show, and if I ever do a trivia session of what was the first match on Spark that Owen Finch reviewed, it's going to be this match right here. It's the Factory versus the Dark Order. I believe it was Stu Grayson, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and um, 10, not 10, but 5 Allen Angels. It wasn't Stu Grayson because he's released. Sorry, I think it's 10 actually. Then, and yeah, I'm only in my first match in reviewing it, and I'm already botching. But I actually wasn't sure who was gonna win this match because usually the Factory always jobs out. I don't think the Factory has won a match probably since they were feuding with Cody and things like that, because they're always the guys that they use to put over somebody new or something like that, especially Nick Camarado and Aaron Solo. But the Dark Order really haven't been doing all that much lately, and I also kind of had a feeling that the Factory was going to win because they've been really pushing Anthony Ogogo when he was on the team this time, so I really wasn't sure who was going to win this match. And it ended up being a pretty entertaining match. It's going to be tough for me to really get into Elevation and Dark because those are the days I usually end up working when it falls on Monday, Tuesdays. So usually I'll end up like falling asleep sometimes or something like that. It didn't happen this week, but it might happen sometimes. And this was a fairly enjoyable match. Eventually, I believe it was Reynolds went for some type of running attack onto Anthony Ogogo, and he hit a pop-up punch, and he ended up knocking him out. And the Factory actually won a match, which I couldn't believe because they never win. But I kind of expected it considering the fact that Anthony Ogogo ended up being on the team this time. They did do a bit in the match where Anthony Ogogo tripped over Aaron Solo, and I'm wondering if that isn't by accident because I think they should phase Anthony Ogogo out of this group. There's really no reason for him to be in it anymore, considering the fact that the Factory always jobs out, and he kind of seems like he's doing pretty well by himself, just having squash matches and things like that on Elevation. So I would like to see Anthony Ogogo leave the Factory. And I think we saw the first tease over here. But yeah, I enjoyed this match. I thought it was pretty good. Then we had Serpentico versus and also throughout this show they showed video packages of, because last week AEW had the biggest venue attendance, and it showed various people talking about it. The only one that was really in character were the Windmans, and I thought it was going to be used to set something up, but it wasn't. We had Serpentico versus Frankie Gazillion with Christopher Daniels ringside. This was done because it was in SoCal. It was in California, and obviously that's where that was the SCU's whole stick. It was cool to see Frankie Gazillion and Christopher Daniels back together again because we haven't really seen them together, I think, since they broke up as a tag team. And this was an entertaining match. I always enjoy watching Serpentico wrestle, especially because he always is fairly entertaining, whether somebody else hurts him or he ends up having to hurt himself. And Frankie Gazillion actually got the win with the what's it called? With the submission. I don't remember. It was Bob Backlund's old submission move. I forget what it's called. And he ended up tapping out Serpentico, so I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed seeing Christopher Daniels and Frankie Gazillion back together again. It was cool. Then we had a women's match on the show. It was Nyla Rose and Serena Deeb with Vicky Guerrero inside versus Sky Blue and Miya Yamashita. Miya Yamashita was new. I'm not sure if she was in that tournament that they did last year where it was the all-women tournament that Ryo Mitsunami won, because I remember they did that tournament and like most of the matches took place in Japan, but it was awful. So I really don't remember it. I've erased that from my memory. They would have mentioned it, I think, too. But this was a really enjoyable match. I thought Sky Blue and Mia ended up working really well as a tag team together. But eventually, Serena Deeb ended up getting the best of Sky Blue, and she ended up locking her in the Serenity Lock, and Sky Blue ended up having to tap out, which makes sense because Serena Deeb's just coming off that loss to Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World Title, so it makes sense for her to get a win back, so no issues here. Then we had the main event. It was Death Triangle versus the Windmen minus not Eli Drake, James Drake. And this was actually really enjoyable. It was a very fast-paced match. It was really just Death Triangle just destroying the heels and just hitting all of the high-flying moves on them. They ended up eventually getting the win with the, the package bio driver power double stomp combination into Black Arrow, which was cool. I believe they did that to Ryan Nemeth, so I enjoyed that. And yeah, it ended a pretty entertaining episode of AEW Elevation. There were no squash matches really. You could make the argument the only one that was really a squash match was the women's tag because a lot of the match was the heels getting the heat on Mia. But other than that, there was really no squash matches on the show. So I enjoyed AEW Elevation. So now let's get to AEW Dark, episode 147. This was commentated by Excalibur and Taz, and I think they were actually in the arena because usually when they were at their AEW Dogs in Orlando, it's clearly done off like a Skype call because you never actually see them in the arena. And the first match on the show was Lance Archer versus Aaron Solo, and Lance Archer just destroyed Aaron Solo pretty much. He absolutely squashed him, which is what I want to see from a Lance Archer match, so no complaints here. Lance Archer ended up getting the win with the his finisher out of the corner, and then he did the claw to him. So yeah, Lance Archer just destroyed Aaron Solo. Aaron Solo did get some offense in, but it really wasn't much. Christopher Daniels faced Steven Andrews. This was done because this was in Christopher Daniels' hometown, and he ended up getting the win with the best moonsault ever. I enjoyed seeing Christopher Daniels out there wrestling again. And yeah, I'm just going to enjoy it as much as I can see it because you don't really get to see Christopher Daniels wrestle that much. Then we had Sky Blue versus Marina Sophia. This match was interesting because you didn't really know who was going to win because they're not really pushing anybody right now, so either one of these two could have won. And it ended up going to Marina Sophia, which when you watch Dynamite the next night, it kind of makes sense. And she ended up winning with by making Sky Blue tap out to the triangle choke. But I enjoyed this. Sky Blue got to shine here, and I enjoy that Sky Blue isn't actually being pushed right away, but I enjoy that she's getting these chances to have breakout performances against people like Serena Deeb, Marina Shafir, and Red Velvet right before the Casino Battle Royal went all out last year. Then we had Serpentico versus Ortiz, and this was very exciting, very back and forth. And Ortiz ended up getting the win. Forget how he won because it was a few days ago, but this was cool because you don't really get to see Santana and Ortiz really wrestle singles. It's typically in a tag match or 6-person match or something. So it was cool to see Ortiz wrestle by himself, and this was cool because later on he did an interview talking about how he's going to take Chris Jericho's hair from him at Road Rager. So I thought this was exciting. Then we had Tony Storm versus Zeta Zane, and Tony Storm ended up winning this match with the Storm Zero, which is a pile driver in AEW, and I was excited about this. And then throughout these two episodes, I think we're going to see this all month because it's Pride Month. We're going to see people who represent Pride Month. We saw Sonny Kiss do a video package talking about her experiences in AEW when he just saw, and then we saw Anthony Bowens do the same. And we saw Nyla Rose do it on Dynamite, so very exciting that we're seeing that representation in there. So cool. Just kind of makes me sad though, because I remember they brought in Sonny Kiss with all this hype, and then they haven't really done much with Sonny Kiss. It's not necessarily their fault, because every time they do something, she gets a ton of hate. So it's like, it's damn if they do, damn if they don't type of thing. Then we had the main event. It was Max Caster and the Gun Club versus John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and 10. this was a fun match. I enjoy the faction that the Acclaimed and the Gun Club have going on. I think it's entertaining act. It's a shame that Anthony Bowens is injured because I feel like they'd be really doing something with it, but I think that kind of put the brakes on it a little bit. But I enjoy the entrance that they do, where Matt's caster will do a rhyme, and obviously it's the typical rhyme, but then he'll call Austin and Colton Gunn ass boys, and then obviously they don't like that, and then when it's their turn to do whatever state they're in and say that they've revived, they always get it wrong. So then Anthony Bowens has to show them how it's done, and they finally got to do it for the first time on Dynamite this week. I think they did do it during the pay-per-view on the buy-in, but I'm glad that it got to be done on Dynamite where more people will see it. And this was actually a really entertaining match. I'm really enjoying the work of the Gun Club. I think they've been entertaining in this role. I don't know if I love the fact that they're heels, though. I wish they had kept them baby faces because I thought they were really getting over his faces. But they ended up getting the win when Austin ended up using the crutch behind the referee's back onto Alan Angels, and Matt's Castro ended up hitting the mic drop on him for the win. And that makes sense. You just put those guys together. There's no reason for them to be losing right now. I know a lot of people would complain because, they just had them lose to CM Punk and FTO. But they also were facing the world champ and the all-weight tag champs. They couldn't lose that. They couldn't win that match, but they just had an impressive showing against them. So. And that was AEW Dog. Like I said, that was a pretty entertaining show. I enjoyed it. And yeah, I enjoyed that it was outside of Universal Studios this time because I enjoyed that they do a change every once in a while. So I don't know when they're going to be outside of Universal Studios. I'd imagine they're going to do something during Forbidden Door when that pay-per-view goes down. I'm assuming like they'll do something there. Maybe like doing Fan Fest, they'll tape some matches and they'll leave the arena for that one. So that would be exciting. And then that led us to Dynamite for this week. And what I'm going to do for Dynamite is I'm not going to go through it bit by bit because one, I didn't end up taking any notes. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about the big things that happened on AEW Dynamite. I picked a good week to launch the show because this was the show where we were going to find out who was going to be fighting for the interim AEW World Championship because this is after CM Punk ended up going out due to his injury. So the opening match was the Battle Royal where the winner was going to face Jon Moxley for to find out who was going to face Jon Moxley to advance to Forbidden Door. And it ended up being a really entertaining Battle Royal. It was really weird though because they said it was supposed to be just a Battle Royal, but they changed it to a Casino Battle Royal. But I think that made sense. It kind of gave everybody a chance to have some, to see to have their entrance music playing and get a big pop and everything. I'm not gonna go through the entire match bit by bit. You can just go watch it for yourselves. I'm just gonna go over the big things that happened in the Casino Battle Royal. I like this Battle Royal a lot. Actually, I really enjoyed how every elimination wasn't just random. There was reasons for the elimination. I like that everybody got to shine in the Battle Royal. They didn't have somebody out there that was just going to get eliminated really quickly. So that was so that was cool. Because I always think it's kind of weird when I don't necessarily hate it when they do in the Rumble because it can be entertaining. But if you have somebody in there that's fighting for a world title, I think that that person should at least matter a little bit. The starting five guys was really surprising. It was Tony Nese, Lance Archer, who didn't get an entrance, which was kind of weird. It was Tony Nese, Lance Archer, Eddie Kinston, Darby Allin, and I think somebody else. I forget who it was. That ended up being a cool little thing. We got to see Darby Allin and Eddie Kinston go at it for a little bit, which I thought was kind of cool because we've never seen them go at it before, and I've always wanted them to. we got to see Keith Lee and Lance Archer go at it when he came in, and there was this bit where I thought Keith Lee was going to be the first guy out, and I was going to be coming on here and saying that they're really miscasting Keith Lee. But no, he ended up hanging on, and he ended up actually eliminating Lance Archer, which you could say that's miscasting Lance Archer, but that's fine because he got eliminated by a guy the same size as him, so that kind of worked. You had Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland working together. They kind of continued the feud with them and Team Taz. Swerve Strickland was kind of a highlight in the match because he ended up turning on Keith Lee and eliminated him from the match. And then when it was time for him and Darby Allin to work together, he ended up turning on Darby Allin and eliminating him, which was kind of cool. So I kind of like that they did that with Swerve Strickland. I wonder if that's teasing that they're going to do a heel turn or something with them. They continued the Jericho Appreciation Society Eddie Kinston feud by having Hager in the match, and Hager, Daniel Garcia, and that was who was the fifth guy that started. All went after Eddie Kinston, and then eventually Eddie Kinston ended up eliminating Hager, which allowed Garcia to eliminate Kinston, and it led to a big brawl. Where they all fought to the back and everything, which was cool. They did a bit with the Gun Club and Matt's the Acclaimed, where they did their entrance and they insulted everyone. I thought it was kind of funny that they did that because everyone just kept kind of wrestling the Battle Royal. So that was cool. The Joker ended up being Andrade El Idolo, which was kind of disappointing because I thought it'd be somebody cool. But, I mean, not that I don't like Andrade El Idolo. I just, I wanted it to be someone debuting or something like that. But that was cool. We got to, who else did we get to see in this Battle Royal? What else did we see in it? They continued the Darby Allin super elite feud by having Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin go at it in the Battle Royal. So that was really cool. Ricky Starks got to shine a little bit in the Battle Royal. Willa Yuta made his return. They said that this was really Willa Yuta had legit just landed from Japan when he was in the Best of the Super Juniors a few hours before this, so that was cool. And it came down to Willa Yuta and Kyle O'Reilly. And Kyle O'Reilly ended up overcoming Willa Yuta. And Kyle O'Reilly ended up winning the Casino Battle Royal, which I was actually surprised about because when I was doing the rundown and things, I was going through all these people that could have won it. I was going through Chris Jericho. I was going through Eddie Kinston, Darby Allin, and all these people. Kyle O'Reilly wasn't one of them, but I wasn't mad when it was him because it made absolute sense with how well he's been pushed lately. Because he's been on a roll. He had a show stealer of a match with Jungle Boy and beat him. He ended up having a really good match in the whole tournament. You can make the argument it's probably the best match in the whole tournament, but with Ray Phoenix and beat him. He had a really good one with Joe, and then he faced Darby Allin, and I think the sleeper match of Double or Nothing, and beat him. So it made sense to go. And then he was in that 10-man tag where he was probably the highlight of the match. So it made sense to go with Kyle O'Reilly. But man, is he banged up. Which I think some of it's for work, but still. With how he's been wrestling and stuff lately. I can't believe NXT wasn't utilizing him towards the end of his run, but it's what it is. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Casino Battle Royal. If I had to say, it's probably like one of my favorite ones. My favorite one probably is the one at Double or Nothing last year, or probably the one where Adam Page won it, probably the first one. So that's just me. I also like the tag team one too that they did, where Pac and Ray Phoenix won. So, some key names though I was surprised were left out of the Battle Royal. I was surprised there was no Pentagon El Zero Miedo. I was surprised Pac was in it, sort of, but he was also in a match later, so they couldn't really do that. I was surprised they didn't kind of just call an audible and have Heyman in it, but it kind of made sense for what they did later on. So, yeah, I was happy they went with Kyle O'Reilly. And then later on in the night, he did a promo talking about how he said when he came to AEW, he was going to not only wrestle the best matches, he was going to wrestle, he was going to win championships, and he's that much closer to doing so. And then William Regal told him that he liked Kyle O'Reilly, but he is not going to like what Jon Moxley does to him in this match. And Moxley did a promo in the show where he talked about how he was the one that started the Forbidden Door because he was the one that was working both New Japan and AEW and winning both their championships. And he said that he has to make it to Forbidden Door to prove that he's the best in the world and finally get the match that he wants with Hiroshi Tanahashi if he beats Haruki Goto, or however you say his name. I haven't seen that match yet, so I will be covering that match on the next episode of AEW Spark. But that match between Kyle O'Reilly and Jon Moxley was everything that I ever wanted. It was so enjoyable. It had that MMA style, wrestling style to it. Even like Attitude Era. It was kind of like a mix of the Attitude Era MMA style to the match. It was so good. It was fantastic. And Moxley ended up getting the win by choking out Kyle O'Reilly. But there were points in the match I thought Kyle O'Reilly was going to win. And I really can't do this match justice. You have to go watch it. I wasn't surprised Moxley ended up getting the win because it makes sense to go with Jon Moxley considering the fact that he's probably the biggest name that could probably go face Hiroshi Tanahashi other than Chris Jericho, but it doesn't seem like they have Jericho planned as of right now. So, but yeah, Moxley is fighting for the interim AEW World Title, which I'm excited about because if Moxley gets the belt, I imagine they're gonna do Moxley versus Punk when CM Punk comes back, and that's a match I've really wanted to see. I know we've seen it before in WWE when Jon Moxley was in the Shield. But so much has gone down since then. We've had CM Punk walk out. We've had Jon Moxley walk out. That match will be money when they can do that match. Also, what went down on the show is we found out that we're going to have a new championship in AEW. It's going to be the Mid-Atlantic World Title. It looks like this is going to be for people that are from across the pond that are going to fight for this title because everyone in the tournament is Mexican, English, and stuff like that, which is fine. And I've seen some criticism about it because now it's AEW adding too many titles that they don't need. I personally am okay with this because I really don't care how many titles you have as long as you use the championships to their ability and book them well. An example of this would be New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you go look at New Japan's titles, they have like 10 titles. And every title at least feels important, and every title is always treated as such. And I think and so far we've seen AEW that they've treated their titles with pretty really importance. You can make the argument they haven't done that with the FTW title, but that kind of makes sense because that's not a recognized title in AEW, so I can kind of forgive that a little bit. I do think they could be doing better with that title, but I'm personally fine with this title coming into picture. It gives more guys something to fight over, so I'm excited about it. They announced a tournament for the title where they're going to fight in the semifinals, and the winners will all advance to a Fatal 4-Way match at Forbidden Door. And the tournament consists of, on this most recent episode of Dynamite, it was Pac versus Buddy Matthews. Also in the tournament, we're going to have Ethan Page versus Miro. Two New Japan stars are going to wrestle each other. I was trying to think of who that could be. I'd like to see like Will Ospreay versus Okada. But then I really don't know who could win that, but that would be one I would like to see. Or if because I haven't seen it yet, if Okada's still champion, Jay White versus Will Ospreay, that would be cool too. But yeah, we're also going to see Malachi Black versus Pento Azul Miedo. Or Pento Azul or whatever. And yeah, we got to see the belt looks really cool. I'm really excited to see who becomes the first champion. And the first match we had was Pac versus Buddy Matthews, and what a way to launch off this tournament. This is a match I've always wanted to see because these are two guys that really carried the cruiserweight division when they were in WWE, where Pac is the one that started the fire with the cruiserweight division, and really got attention on that title, and everything that he did with that title was awesome. And the same thing with Buddy Matthews when he ended up winning the title in his hometown to a huge ovation, and he ended up defending that championship on the main card of Survivor Series. So, and probably the match of the night. So I'm really happy that these two got to go at it, and they delivered. These two delivered the type of match that you would think that they would with each other. They really went all out, and I was really happy with the match. Pac ended up winning, which makes sense because I think they're going to want to have Pac and Malachi Black go at it in the 4-way. And I'm really excited about this tournament. But it looks like they're going to continue the feud between Death Triangle and House of Black because they ended up having a face-off. We got to see Julia Hart actually come out for the first time since joining the House of Black. The only thing I really don't understand is why not the Hollywood Blondes, but whatever, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison haven't shown up and said anything about Julia Hart joining the House of Black. We haven't even seen them make an appearance. I kind of wish they would do something about it, but maybe that's coming. But if I had to make a prediction of who's gonna be in this 4-way match, I'm gonna say obviously Pac's in it right now. I'm gonna say Malachi Black will get in it. I think he's gonna beat Penta Azul Miedo in a fantastic match. I think Miro's gonna be in it, and I think it's gonna be the New Japan guy. If I had to say which New Japan star I would like to see in the match, it would be probably either Will Ospreay or Jay White. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And who I think will be the first champion, I will give my predictions when I get closer to Forbidden Door. Also on this show, we ended up having a AEW Women's World Title match. It was Thunder Rosa defended against Marina Sophia, where Thunder Rosa basically called out an open challenge, and Marina Sophia accepted. And they ended up delivering the goods in the match. I thought, it was about the same type of match that Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly had without the Attitude Era elements in it. And I really liked that match. It's really a shame that it took them about 3 months for them to finally have Thunder Rosa wrestle a match on Dynamite since winning the title, but that is what it is. And yeah, I really enjoyed this match. Thunder Rosa ended up getting the win with a counter roll up, which I thought was kind of cool because it made Marina Sophia look strong because Thunder Rosa had to pull a trick out of the hat just to beat her, and it made Thunder Rosa look like a Brazilian champion. Afterwards, Marina Sophia attacked her, and she ended up and Toni Storm ended up running out to make the save, and both of them ended up beating down Marina Sophia. And then afterwards, Toni Storm looked at the title, and it looks like they're gonna set up Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the title, which I really want to see that match. That'd be fantastic. I'd like to see Marina Sophia get face Toni Storm in a number 1 contenders match, and then that's how she gets the title match. But we'll have to wait and see because something happened on Rampage that made it so that way that might not happen. And then also on the show we had Heyman Adam Page versus David Finlay. They really delivered the goods. I really didn't expect them to perform this well. David Finlay has really improved so much since I've seen him in Impact originally when Finjuice showed up. And yeah, they've been showing themselves really well as he's been showing himself really well as a singles. I've only seen a couple of his singles matches. I saw the match he had with Jay White for the Never Openweight Championship at I believe it was Resurgence when Lance Archer faced Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP US Heavyweight title. And yeah, he ended up having a fantastic match with Adam Page. Adam Page was so over in the match, which is kind of cool. How he's not as over as he was when he before he won the title, but it's cool that he's still as over as he is, because usually when a guy like that, like when Kofi Mania happened, once Kofi had the title, he really wasn't as over as he was during Kofi Mania when he was chasing for the title. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed that match. David Finlay really worked over the leg on Adam Page throughout much of it, and then eventually Adam Page ended up getting the win with the buckshot lariat. And he got on the mic and talked about how AEW doesn't seem to want to go after the world title because they're not letting them use his rematch clause, and they didn't put him in the Casino Battle Royal. But he pointed out that there's another title that he can go after, and that's the IWGP Heavyweight title. And he called out Okada, but Adam Cole brought up the fact that at Dominion, Okada still has to get through Jay White. But even if, no matter who walks out of Dominion with the title, Adam Cole is going to be the one to challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, which that could be interesting. And even though I haven't seen it, even though it's already happened, I'll just kind of talk about it. I'm really fine with whatever direction they want to go with. I'm fine if they go with Adam Page versus Jay White, because there's a lot of reasons to do that match, since Jay White is close with the Elite and Bullet Club, and Adam Page is kind of feuding with them and was once a part of Bullet Club, so that would work. I'm okay with Adam. I really want to see Adam Page versus Okada. That would be awesome. Adam Cole versus Okada would rule, and the only one that would be kind of weird would be Jay White versus Adam Cole, but that could still work. To see, since Adam Cole is kind of leading the Super Elite / Bullet Club over in the United States, and Jay White's kind of doing it over in Japan and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, I will be covering that next week. Yeah, and then there was other things that took place on Dynamite. There was some backstage segments. We had the Young Bucks had a backstage segment where they talked about how they're perfectly in line to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles, since they beat the champs in that 10-man tag and beat the Lucha Brothers. But then the Hardys walked in and said that they deserve a tag team title match because they beat the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing. So Christian Cage and Jurassic Express came in, and Christian Cage suggested that they do the match that him and the Hardy Boys put on the map, and that's a ladder match. So yeah, we're going to see a 3-way ladder match next week at Road Rager. It's going to be the Hardys versus Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. I'm excited about that. I like how I just feel bad for Jurassic Express because they've been put through the winner when it comes to the title defenses. They had a triple threat at Revolution against the Bucks and Red Dragon, and then they had a triple threat at Double or Nothing against Keith Lee and Swerve Scott and Team Taz. So, and I am honestly convinced that AEW is trying to kill Jeff Hardy because he's been put on in these extreme matches. The match with the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing, the match, the tables match with the Butcher and the Blade, on the first AEW in April that was in Boston, and then I believe he had like some type of street fight, I believe, where they teamed up with Darby, Stin, and Matt Hardy obviously and stuff to face the Butcher, the Blade, and Private Party. So yeah, they really Jeff Hardy. I think AEW is trying to kill Jeff Hardy because he's going to jump off something big at Road Rager. So then we had Wardlow do a promo where he talked about how he didn't enter the Battle Royal because if he wins the AEW World Championship, he wants to beat CM Punk, which I thought was kind of cool. I thought that kind of made Wardlow look like a really cool baby face. The fact that he doesn't want to take the shortcuts, he'd rather do it the right way, and it makes him look like a really cool monster. But he says that he wants the TNT title because that was a title that he was robbed of when he won it after winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So he challenged the TNT champion. The Men of the Year and Dan Lambert came out, but Dan Lambert talked Scorpio Sky into walking away, so that was cool. However, though, before Wardlow can focus on the TNT title, Smart Mark Sterling gave him an ultimatum that either he can meet him in a court of law, or he can face 20 security guards in a 20-on-1 elimination handicap match. And I guess he chose the handicap match because that's the match that's happening next week. So that'll be interesting. And then they did a backstage skit with Jade Cargill and the baddies that hyped up a match between Red Velvet and Chris Statlander. And then in the ring, Trent Beretta was in the ring doing a promo on Best Friends Day, but he didn't have any of his best friends because they were all busy. And he called out FTR because him and Rocky Romero won a rematch for those ROH World Tag Team Championships. And FTR agreed, but they also want to get their hands on the United Empire, specifically the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb for interfering in the match, and they especially want to get their hands on Will Ospreay, which led to Will Ospreay actually showing up, which this I did not see coming because earlier at Wrestle Kingdom this year, he said that he was never going to walk through the Forbidden Door. He did not only walk through the Forbidden Door, he ended up kicking down the Forbidden Door because he came out and Aussie Open, basically the rest of the members of the United Empire except TJ Perkins all came out and just attacked FTR and Trent Beretta, and they ended up laying out FTR and Trent Beretta. Will Ospreay ended up hitting his back forearm onto Trent Beretta, and Will Ospreay is finally in AEW, and it ended up setting up the 6-man tag on Rampage. With this makes me question what's going to happen now with Will Ospreay when it comes to Forbidden Door. It's looking like they're going to set up maybe a tag match where it's United Empire versus FTR and Best Friends, or maybe a triple threat match for the ROH tag titles where it's Jeff Cobb and it's Jeff Cobb and the Great O'Khan versus FTR versus Roppongi Vice, which I would like to see that as well. And then maybe we'll get Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy if Orange Cassidy is able to go by that point. So that would be cool. And I think that was about everything that took place on Dynamite. I can't really think of anything else. I'll just give a quick look because I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Just give me a second. But this is a pretty awesome show here. That was about everything that took place on Dynamite. Actually, it was exactly everything that took place on Dynamite. Moving on to Rampage. I just finished watching that not that long ago. It's kicked off with Eddie Kinston versus Jake Hager. This was set up because of the Battle Royal, when Eddie Kinston did a promo on Dynamite where he challenged Jake Hager to this match and said that he was going to get to each and every single members of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Go watch that promo. It's probably like one of the best promos in under a minute that somebody's ever done. And yeah, they ended up working a really good match. I liked how this was worked. Jake Hager really dominated Eddie Kinston throughout the beginning portions of this matchup, but then eventually it not only took one, it took two back spinning forearms for Eddie Kinston to put away Jake Hager, which I thought was cool. Britt Baker, so that was an awesome match. And I like that it progresses the storyline between Jericho Appreciation Society, Eddie Kinston, uh, Proud and Powerful, and the Blackpool Combat Club. Um, and then yeah, and then Britt Baker did a promo calling out Toni Storm for going after the AEW World Title and put her name into the hat because she thinks that not only is she missing the AEW Women's World Title, but the Women's World Title misses her more. And then Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal squashed two enhancement talent, which was kind of by design. This was Satnam Singh's first match in AEW. He looked better than he did when he debuted attacking Samoa Joe, but that's really not saying much. But he looked better here. I guess it's just going to take some time. He's still new to the business, but I don't even know if I'd put him in the ring right now. I would actually just have him be the heavy for Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt. I personally think that they should just have Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal just be a tag team and go for the ROH tag titles. Throw them into the hat if they want to do a four-way match. But yeah, Jay Lethal did his lethal injection to both guys, which looked cool. We had an interview segment backstage with Hookhausen, which was funny. Where they both ended up buying expensive cars, and when Hook came up, he didn't say anything. He just looked at Lexi New and drove off. We had an awesome match between Chris Statlander and Red Velvet. I really wish they would have turned Red Velvet heel sooner, just so we could have seen these matches, because they have great chemistry. And I think what makes their chemistry so great is because Red Velvet, Chris Statlander was such a powerhouse, and Red Velvet, there's such a size difference between Red Velvet and Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander can just throw her around, which is cool. Chris Statlander got the win with the, I know it's not called this anymore, but the Big Bang Catastrophe or the Big Bang Theory. And afterwards, she was attacked by the baddies. And then Anna Jay tried to come out and even the odds, but she was overwhelmed. And then when Athena tried to come out and even the odds, security held her back. So they're really setting up Jade Cargill versus Athena. I imagine we're going to see it at like a Fighter Fest or Fight for the Fallen on AEW. I don't think they're going to wait until All Out to do that match. I could see them doing that match at a show, at one of those shows, and then maybe Athena doesn't get the title, and then she ends up winning it All Out, where she has to have a redemption story similar to how they did Ember Moon versus Asuka in NXT, except, she would actually get the title. But I think it should be Athena beating Jade Cargill in an undefeated streak. I really don't know who else could do it. The only other person that could is really Thunder Rosa, but I don't think they're going to go that direction since she's got another belt. Then we had the main event. It was Aussie Open and Will Ospreay versus FTR and Trent Beretta. This was an awesome match. It's crazy that the crowd was into it because it was on the same show as Dynamite this week, taped. They were all taped together. And yeah, just if you go check out this match, you haven't seen it. FTR and Trent actually got the win. Trent Beretta ended up hitting his finisher onto one of the guys from Aussie Open, and I was kind of surprised. I figured United Empire just came in. I thought you would want to put them over, but I don't have a problem with it because I think Aussie Open I don't really think is really the credible tag team out of the United Empire. I think it's going to be more so the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb, and maybe if they can get T.J. Perkins in there, he'll show up. But I'm personally fine with this. Plus, you need to get some heat. You need to build some momentum up for Trent Beretta and FTR, because maybe they're going to go the one-on-one match route with Pungy Vice versus FTR. So that's technically the Forbidden Door, since Rocky Romero is signed to New Japan and not AEW. And that was the end of the week for AEW. I mean, I haven't seen Dominion yet. Like I said before, I will watch that sometime this week and cover that, at least the AEW side of it next week. But yeah, how I'm gonna do this is when I grade AEW, I'm gonna grade the week, and I'm gonna give this week as a grade. I'm gonna give it an A plus. I really enjoyed this week of AEW. I enjoyed Dark and Elevation. I thought those were pretty easy shows to sit through. I really enjoyed Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was probably one of the best episodes we've seen. I really enjoyed Rampage. I think we saw like one of the best matches I've ever seen on Rampage with that 6-man tag with Will Ospreay and the Aussie Open versus FTR and Trent Beretta. I really enjoyed that. And I forgot to mention, Will Ospreay actually showed up with the Rev Pro world title, which was pretty cool. So I wonder if he's going to defend that title at Forbidden Door. That would be cool. I'm trying to think of who we could... I would like to see him... I'd say I'd like to see him versus Pac, but Pac is... Pac's already in a match. So, yeah. I'm not sure who that could be. I'd say Bryan Danielson, but Danielson's hurt. I don't even know if he'd be back in time. I'd like to see Cassidy. Maybe him and Alan Cassidy go at it for that title. But yeah, I'm gonna give AEW this week out A plus. Now I'm gonna kind of preview next week's episode of AEW. And I'm pretty excited about it. It's Road Rager, and it's a special episode of Dynamite, so that means they're going to go all out, and the match card looks really exciting. I'm going to give you some predictions of what I think is going to happen on that show. They haven't announced anything for Rampage, so I won't give any predictions for that. I doubt they're going to ever really announce anything for Rampage. I think they usually wait for Dynamite unless it's like a big episode of Rampage. But... I'm going to start with probably the match of least importance to the match that's probably going to be the main event. We have Wardlow versus the 20 security guards in the elimination handicap match. I'd imagine Wardlow is just going to destroy these guys. No problem. I don't know how they're going to do this where Wardlow gets through these guys really quickly because it's also 20 guys, but I could see something happening where... Wardlow destroys like 10, maybe 7 of them, and 10 of them went off, and then he dispatches the other 7 or something like that. I could see something like that happening, but I think Wardlow is going to easily dispose of him, and I think Scorpio Sky is going to show up and probably lay out Wardlow with the title, and then setting up a match between them. I'd imagine they're going to do that match probably at like a future episode of Dynamite, whether that's Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen. Yeah, and they also announced the ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. It's going to be Jurassic Express versus the Unbucks versus the Hardy Boys. This one's a really tough one to call because it could really go either way. I think it's going to be Jurassic Express retaining because I really don't see the reason for the other two teams to win. I think the Hardys don't really need it. The AEW tag team titles, I don't really... I wouldn't mind if they got the tag team titles because we haven't really seen them be champions since they returned to WWE in 2017. I know they got the SmackDown tag team titles after WrestleMania 35, but they ended up having to vacate them shortly afterwards, but I would like to see the Hardys be the AEW Tag Team Champions. I just don't think that's going to happen here. I could see the Young Bucks getting the tag titles and then facing the Hardys in a rematch. But I think it's going to be Jurassic Express. I really don't see the reason to take the titles off them. They're doing really well as champions, and I think if they win this match, it's going to really put them on the map. And then we have the other first round match in the Mid-Atlantic Championship Tournament. It's going to be Ethan Page versus Miro. I think Miro's winning this. He just returned recently, and I think and I don't think they're going to have him lose a first round match in the tournament. I actually think he might end up winning the whole thing. So I think Miro's going to win this, and I think it would be cool to see Miro because he was someone that was just mainly a WWE Performance Center project. It'd be cool to see him mix it up with somebody from New Japan, especially since he's like wanted to work New Japan before he left WWE. So I think that would be kind of cool. Then we have probably what's going to be the main event of the show. It's going to be the hair versus hair match between Chris Jericho and Ortiz. Now, usually when they do hair versus hair matches, it's usually the heel that loses, and he ends up getting embarrassed because of it. But I don't think that's going to be the case this time, because for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think Jericho's done playing tours on Fozzy anytime soon. I'm not saying he's in any, but I imagine he's going to do another tour with Fozzy at some point, and I don't know how good that would look on him if he had his head shaved bald. But I also think they're gonna do they're doing Blood and Guts June 29th. They could do it January 29th too though. And I think if Jericho is gonna lose this feud overall and finally have his ultimate humiliation, I think it should be in Blood and Guts. I think it should be when everybody gets where Eddie Kinston has to force him to give up, because I think that's going to be the payoff to that feud. And I think having Jericho get humiliated here and then at Blood and Guts, it really wouldn't add anything to it. So I think it's going to be Chris Jericho shaving Ortiz's hair. And yeah, it'd be kind of nice because I'd be able to tell the difference between Santana and Ortiz. So that'd be cool. And that's about it. Everything that I think that's going to happen on Road Rager. If I had to make a guess of other things that could happen, I could see some type of 6-woman tag match getting set up with Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, and maybe Sheeta or Ruby Soho versus Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and either Marina Sophia or Rebel. Other matches I could see getting added. I could see some type of squash match going down. Maybe FTR squashing somebody. And as for who I think is going to show up from New Japan, because I think that someone's going to show up every week until Forbidden Door takes place, I think it's going to be whoever wins has won the IWGP Heavyweight title match, and they'll have a face-off with Adam Page and set up the IWGP World Heavyweight title match on that show, whether that's Okada or Jay White. I could honestly see both. If Okada retains, I could see, or has retained, I could see Okada showing up and then Jay White attacking him, and it could set up a tag match with Adam Page and Okada versus, if he's healthy in time, Adam Cole and Jay White. And Adam Cole and Okada have to work together to take out Adam Cole and Jay White. And if they can't do Jay White and Adam Cole, they could do Kyle O'Reilly and Jay White. Or they could have a 6-man tag, and maybe Konosuke Takeshita can team up with Adam Page and Okada. That'd be cool. But, we'll have to wait and see what happens. If Jay White has the belt, I could see just Jay White showing up, and then Adam Page and Jay White getting into it. I would like to see somebody from AEW win the New Japan's belts, and somebody from New Japan win one of AEW's titles. It'd be cool if the New Japan guy that's in that Mid-Atlantic tournament ended up being the first champion. That's probably not the best idea, because I know you want to have it be your own guys, but they're gonna have WWE guys in it, and they're gonna make complaints about that anyways. So it's like it's not like you can win. I think that would be cool if an AEW guy had New Japan's title, and a New Japan talent had AEW, one of AEW's titles. I think that'd be kind of cool, even if it was just for like a couple weeks. I think that would get both companies noticed, because you could easily have Page just drop the title either back to Okada, or you could have him drop it to Jay White, and then Okada has to beat Jay White for the belt. Or you could have, if Jay White's the champion, you could have Adam Page drop it to Jay White, and then Okada faces Adam Page for the belt on an episode of Dynamite, and you do a rematch on a New Japan show between Okada and Jay White, because Jay White can say, you never beat me for that title. So that would be cool. One final thing I'll talk about before I get off is the MJF follow-up to this week. This week he wasn't on AEW, and I'm fine with that. I feel like if he was on this week, it would kind of ruin the impact of that promo. Like, if you want to make this promo feel real, you shouldn't even mention MJF. I think this is fine for him not to be brought up. If I was booking this, I would have MJF not show up until at Forbidden Door, or like the Dynamite, or the Dynamite when CM Punk and whoever the interim AEW World Champion is have the match, and have them attack the winner of that match, which I think should be CM Punk. And you set up MJF versus the AEW World Champion at All Out this year. That's the match at All Out to do. I think this is the year to get the belt on MJF if he's coming back. But yeah, I don't think they should mention MJF until he shows up himself. I think they're playing it smart here right now. Because if this was real and MJF had actually gone off script, I don't think AEW would have mentioned it. So, and I guess I did say one final thing, but since I just talked about CM Punk on AEW Dynamite, they did give us some update on his surgery, and basically his surgery was a success, and they're gonna tell us more when they know more. So, I'm not sure when CM Punk's due to come back, but like I said, when he comes back, I'm glad they're not stripping him of the title. I just wish they would have made that more clear, obviously, when he cut that promo. But anyhow, that's besides the point. But yeah, that's my review of AEW Spark. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoy these every week. And if there's anything you want to see me do for AEW Spark, just let me know. I may seem a little bit rusty, but I haven't really done a review show by myself, I think, since like it was probably 2017, actually. Because everything else, because since we switched everything over to Discord and Skype, I think we did. It might have been 2018 actually. But it's been a while. It's been like 4 years. But anyhow, that's the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. And if you want to check out anything else on this channel, just click down in the description box below. It would take you there. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as AEW content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.